Hello, it is Topical Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. Steve Sipress here, and I figured I'd wait till just about the most opportune time to show you a gorgeous orange and purple sunset going on behind me in the clouds and the mountains. As always, tough to see on the iPhone if I can catch it at the right angle. It's reflecting into the pool. Anyway, beautiful sunset on a beautiful fall day here. Temps near 70. Hope it's fantastic wherever you are. And topical Tuesday. So what is topical? What's in the news? Well, over the weekend, Elon Musk made good on his promise. Let's get that off of there to release what he calls the Twitter files. The first of, he promises, several or many or however many dumps of transparency, of inside data, of actual proof of what everybody knows. So, both sides are coming down as usual. Somehow this is a political thing. And the people that are on one side twist themselves into pretzels, coming to conclusions over the facts. And with the exact same facts, the other side goes absolutely off the deep end in the other direction. But no matter how you slice it, Elon Musk wins again, getting tremendous attention and putting forth more evidence, proof, whatever you want to call it, of his quest to be the champion of free speech and transparency with Twitter, showing what the previous administration leaders, I don't know, upper echelon of Twitter, how they put their finger on their thumb on the scale, as they say, for whatever they wanted to put forth. A few things here. They say that I see they're like, oh, they censored the Hunter Biden laptop. They weren't sure if the Hunter Biden laptop was real. It's not about Twitter trying to figure out or decide whether the Hunter Biden laptop is real. They censored the New York Post, an actual newspaper. In fact, the oldest, the most established newspaper in the entire United States of America. In other words, they do the job for Twitter. You can pretty much bet that if the New York Post, if a newspaper that's been around for hundreds of years, spends a lot of time and effort and publishes something, that they've gone over it and their legal department's gone over it, and pretty much you can assume that that's not some kind of hacked, BS, bogus, fake, made up, whatever, thing. And then they're like, oh, well, they were just censoring the inappropriate photos of Hunter Biden with hookers or doing drugs or whatever it was, or naked photos. Well, like, excuse me, there was all kinds of evidence on there of all the influence peddling. I mean, the whole Biden crime family, which again everyone knows. I mean, again, if you're looking to be honest and get into an honest profession, pretty sure you steer away from politics. It's rare, if ever, that anyone maintains their honesty, even if they were honest before they entered politics. I mean, show me a politician who's purely honest, like almost always way in the other end. And the whole Biden crime family's been around for decades, profiting off all kinds of inside, shady, seedy deals with foreign countries and whatever. Like, that's what politicians do, which is a big reason politicians on both sides of the aisle, for Joe Biden, against Joe Biden, they don't want this stuff released. They don't want it out there. They don't want it investigated because they're guilty of the same kind of stuff. It's what politics is. But anyway, number one, it is not about some tech kids. I mean, these are, for the most part, young kids trying to decide on the spur of the moment when the New York Post or any newspaper that's reputable posts a story. Since when do tech executives have to decide on the spur of the moment? Should we take that down? Should we allow that? It's a newspaper story. They didn't even allow people to tweet it to each other in a private tweet or whatever they call it, like the private message it around. Like, excuse me? Like, I can't privately show somebody what's printed in a reputable newspaper. This is not some unknown website or some radical something or other. It's not even the National Enquirer or whatever, that, by the way, has won lots of lawsuits and been proven to have published the truth much more often than not, even though they love to exaggerate. But this is the New York Post. This is the oldest newspaper in the country. I mean, when the New York Times posts something, all you say is, according to the New York Times. You don't judge whether it's true or not. It's the same in your business. If you're posting your what's called curating articles onto your website, I've got a bunch of websites where I curate articles from other sources. That's not my responsibility to do the research and to determine the veracity of what the article is all about. It's to republish the information. People can decide for themselves. Everyone's an adult, or even if they're kids, but everyone can decide for themselves the veracity, the truth of whatever they're reading. Right? Makes sense. So, that's not your job if you are a publisher. In fact, there's some kind of a carve out for social media publishers that they are free from responsibility for what's published on their site. Well, not if you put your thumb on the scale and you start deciding what people are allowed to read or not. I mean, kind of ridiculous. Are they going to take down all of the fraud-sheet BS, misinformation, and the CDC and whatever with, knowing that masks don't stop an airborne virus at all, but telling people to wear masks, and knowing that the vaccine is neither safe nor effective and telling everybody it's both, and what, like, they're going to take all that down? They're going to ban all their accounts? Man, I got all kinds of stuff popping up on here. Anyway, that's, I guess, a signal. Oh, moly, that we should end the video for the day. But basically, that's what's in the news. Man, it's a massive, somebody's sending like 8 text messages. Oh, thanks a lot. And so if you want to comment, come on the video, comment here. I'm not going to be popping up text messages, whatever's popping up on my phone. But anyway, that's what's in the news. A couple of things is, it's not, you want to, if you're in the game of persuasion, manipulation, whatever you want to call it, you want to change the story, you want to deflect, you want to say like, we didn't want to publish naked photos of or whatever, that's what we're, okay, sure, but that's clearly not the point. It was all about the crimes committed by a political family of a candidate that you favored. I mean, private company, they can do that, but then on the other hand, the ones that are okay with this say things like, well, it's not a violation of the First Amendment because Biden was a private citizen at the time in his campaign. Okay. Be careful with that BS, because number one, the FBI was involved, and last time I checked, that's the government. In fact, they are a heck of a lot more of the government than presidents or presidential campaigns that come and go. At the most, they're in power for 8 years, and half, by definition, of these political campaigns never get into power. But the FBI, they're permanently in power. If you haven't checked out the history and studied J. Edgar Hoover and his files on everybody, and how they can do anything they want to anybody at any time. And so do we want them tipping the scales in foreign elections, our elections? It's not the FBI in particular, CIA. I mean, we're well known to tip the scales in foreign elections and in our own elections. So in one hand, this wasn't like news, everyone knows that. This was kind of evidence and proof that there it is. We're seeing the actual emails. We're seeing the admission. Mark Zuckerberg admitted it for Facebook, and now we see Twitter admitting, oh yeah, we had a weekly meeting with the FBI. Since when does the government meet with a publisher and tell them or suggest to them what to publish or not? I mean, I feel a little bad for the Twitter people. You've almost got to take the FBI's word for it, just like you got to take the New York Post's word for it. If the New York Post says this is a story, you don't take it down. It's the New York Post. You can put up your opinion. You can put up what's called an op-ed, an opposing editorial against whatever. But it's the New York Post. The same way the FBI tells you, hey, here's something that's blah, blah, blah. What are you going to start to put together a spy ring around the world and try and tell if something is real or not, or fake, or investigate or what? You kind of take them at their word. They're the FBI. Second of all, the FBI can crush you too. So you really don't go against the FBI. If you're in charge of what can or cannot be said on your platform, and the FBI suggests you don't put this on the platform, you might not want to make an enemy of the FBI, which again has much more power than any president or any presidential campaign or just about anybody else. Law enforcement. So it's interesting to hear the liberals claiming that they're okay with the cops being in charge of what they can and cannot read or what they can and cannot publish. Like, I thought they were into defund the police, or they were they think police overstep their bounds, and which I agree. There's a ton of abuse of power, and this is perhaps the biggest one. The FBI, our national police, abusing their power to coerce private companies into what or what not to allow the American public to say or to hear or to see or to read. Totally outrageous. And then the last thing I'll just say is when they go, well, Biden was a private citizen. They came, did you not hear Elon Musk? He said this is just the first group, the first batch. Like, wait till he releases what the Biden administration has been doing since after he did become president, and now they are part of the government. And do you really think they're not still putting their thumb on the scale about what you can and cannot say, and they're not meeting with Twitter executives and emailing them and telling them to take things down and what? So just be careful in this whole game of manipulation, persuasion, taking sides. I mean, if you're me, I don't take sides politically, one side or the other. It's just politics. If you haven't heard me say it before, I look at it like sports. It's sports. It's fun to root for, and you can get all emotional about it and all excited and really care if your team wins or your player wins. If it's an individual sport, and you can bet on it, and it can really affect you. You win. There's parades. There's euphoria. You can win money. You can get all excited. You can spend lots of money and buy souvenirs and travel around and pay to watch games on TV or pay to watch them in person. There's a lot of money and a lot of effort, and a lot of emotion goes into sports. Well, same in politics. But look, at the end of the day, you can root for whoever you want. Doesn't matter to me. I don't really think it makes a difference who wins any election, who wins any game. It's fun to watch, and it's very interesting, and I pay a lot of attention. You hear me talk about a lot about politics here because if you're following me, and you're a small business owner, you are a student of persuasion, sales, influence, manipulation, whatever you want to call it. You want to know how to convince people, how to sell people to your point of view, to your product, to your service, to doing business with you. And you can study politics because to get elected to anything, they got to be masters of persuasion. Now, cops, the FBI on the other hand, don't have to be as much masters. They have a lot of force and a lot of power and a lot of threat that they can use. So it's a different story. And by the way, then they have this whole thing, another thing, where they say, the FBI said the laptop, 50 officials or whatever, 40, 20, whatever it is, they all signed a letter saying, they misled people and said it was Russian disinformation. No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they said, what do you think, they're stupid? I'm pretty sure they're pretty careful, just like you should be in your communication. And they said it has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation there. They didn't say it's Russian disinformation. They didn't mislead. They knew what they were doing. They used the art of persuasion, of communication, of influence to suggest, to strongly suggest, to plant the seed, to put in the idea in people's mind that this could possibly be Russian disinformation, misinformation, whatever they call this stuff, which, by the way, misinformation, disinformation, you know what it is? It's information. And last I checked, this is the U.S., and we have free speech, which means the answer to information you don't like is more information. Then put out information that you do like, if you want to counter whatever you think is not the right information. That happened during all the shutdowns, all the BS from Fraudgy and the rest, when nothing they did was about science. It was all about control and what you have to wear and where you have to stand and can you leave your house and can you go to work and what kind of dangerous chemicals do you have to inject into your body on threats of losing your job or not being able to move about or not be able to see your family, all this kind of nonsense. That's going on all the time. So there's a saying, when two people meet, a sale is being made. At all times. When two people have a conversation, a sale is being made. You're selling them on an idea, selling them on your product, on your service, on your concepts, on your thoughts. I'm here selling you on my thoughts here on Topical Tuesday about something that's in the news. Now, I'm not selling you hard on it. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm kind of talking to myself into a camera. And then, of course, lots of people watch the video and then they comment and they let me know what they think or what they don't. And again, I'm not really concerned with what you think about, the New York Post or the Biden crime family or politicians in general or taking drugs or paying hookers or whatever's in the. I don't care about. What I'm talking about is watch and see the persuasion, the manipulation, the sales, the influence going on, whatever you want to call it, and be careful. And because unlike politicians, we only have one business. Politicians lose. They can either run again, or they run for a different office, or they just you know, become a lobbyist or a head of a law. Write a book, go on TV and get a show, or they go get a law firm and get big time clients, or whatever. They go into become an ambassador, or whatever. I mean, they still make millions, and they can still do their inside trading and get all their knowledge and profit off all of it. And they're all what do they call it? The sewer, the swamp, the whatever. Which swamps are pretty nice compared to Washington D.C. By the way, it's like an ecosystem of life. Washington D.C. is like an ecosystem of death and crime, and all kinds of bad stuff. So we can't do that in our business, right? We have our business. If you're in it for the long term, which I hope you are, you want to operate on a level about 100 levels above politicians as far as integrity, honesty, truth, transparency. So be careful not to model what you see being done here by either side about any issue at all. I just pointed out what's going on, and I hope that it has some effect on how you communicate with your prospects, your customers, clients, your patients, your members, your partners, your vendors, your employees, whoever it is. You're always communicating. Again, there's that saying, two people meet, sale is being made. One person's selling the other person more. You either get sold or you're selling the other person. Just the way it works. And that'll do it for Topical Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. It's been fun being with you or being with you on the replay. And I will catch you tomorrow on World Wide Web Wednesday. Over and out. Bye-bye.